My beloved child. Something has shifted. Not in the world around you. Not in the noise that fills your days. But in a place far deeper, a place most people never learn to hear. And that shift has set something extraordinary into motion. At this very moment, while you are listening to these words, a realization is unfolding in the heart of someone connected to your destiny. For a long time, they could sense pieces of you. Fragments. Clues. Unexplained feelings they could never fully understand. But now, the veil is beginning to lift. And what they are discovering is changing everything. You have spent seasons wondering why certain doors remained closed. Why some connections appeared only to disappear. Why certain chapters ended before they ever seemed to begin. There were nights when questions echoed through your mind with no answers. Moments when silence felt heavier than words. Yet what you could not see then is becoming clear now. The delays were never empty. The waiting was never meaningless. Every twist. Every unexpected turn. Every moment that seemed disconnected from the story was quietly preparing a revelation that could not arrive until now. Because there was something about you that remained hidden. Not hidden from the world. Hidden from those who were meant to find you. Including the soul that has been moving closer to your path. And this hidden truth is not what most people would expect. It is not about perfection. It is not about status. It is not about the image others see when they look at you. It is something much deeper. Something far more powerful. Something that has remained invisible beneath the surface while life was shaping you through experiences no one else could fully understand. Here is what few realize. The strongest souls are often misunderstood before they are recognized. The brightest lights often spend time in darkness before they illuminate a room. And the hearts capable of extraordinary love often endure seasons that appear unfair. You have carried lessons that cannot be taught. You have gained wisdom that cannot be borrowed. You have survived moments that could have convinced you to stop believing altogether. Yet you kept moving. Even when your strength felt fragile. Even when your hope seemed small. Even when nobody else saw the battles taking place inside you. And that is exactly what is being revealed. Not your struggles. But who you became because of them. Someone is beginning to recognize a truth that has always existed beneath your surface. A truth you may not even fully recognize yourself. They are seeing the depth behind your silence. The resilience behind your smile. The courage hidden inside every chapter you thought had been forgotten. And the more they discover, the harder it becomes for them to ignore what they feel. Because destiny has a way of bringing hidden things into the light at exactly the right moment. Not too early. Not too late. Exactly when the lesson is complete. Exactly when the heart is ready. Exactly when the pieces finally begin to connect. But there is something even more surprising. The truth they are uncovering is only the beginning. Because what they discovered about you has awakened a question they can no longer escape. A question that is pulling them closer. A question that grows stronger with every passing day. And when that question finally reaches its answer, a chain of events will begin that neither of you could have predicted. The first signs are already appearing. Subtle. Quiet. Easy to overlook. Yet impossible to stop. And what happens next may reveal why everything had to unfold the way it did. But before that answer arrives, another hidden piece of the story must emerge. A strange thing happens when truth begins to surface. It rarely arrives all at once. Instead, it reveals itself in fragments. A memory that suddenly feels important. A feeling that refuses to disappear. A moment that seems ordinary until it returns to the mind again and again. And that is exactly where this story is now. While you have been focused on your own journey, something has been unfolding behind the scenes. Pieces are connecting. Patterns are forming. Questions are finding answers. Yet the most remarkable part is this. The person tied to your destiny is beginning to see your past differently. Not as a collection of hardships. Not as a record of mistakes. But as evidence. Evidence of a strength they did not know existed. Evidence of a heart that remained open when it had every reason to close. Evidence of a soul that kept growing through seasons that would have stopped many others. And with every realization, something inside them becomes clearer. They are starting to understand why your presence feels different. Why conversations linger longer in their thoughts. Why certain moments replay in their mind when everything else fades away. There is a reason for that. Some connections are built on attraction. Others are built on convenience. But there are rare connections that awaken recognition. Not because two people are identical. Not because their paths have been easy. But because something within them recognizes something sacred in the other. And that recognition cannot be forced. It cannot be manufactured. It arrives naturally. Like dawn breaking after a long night. Yet here is the part few people expect. The hidden truth they discovered is not only changing how they see you. It is changing how they see themselves. Because your journey has become a mirror. A reflection showing them possibilities they once overlooked. Your resilience reminds them of strength they forgot they possessed. Your patience reveals lessons they have not yet learned. Your authenticity challenges the masks they have grown comfortable wearing. And that realization is powerful. Far more powerful than either of you may realize. Because growth always begins with recognition. And recognition has already begun. There are moments now when they pause unexpectedly. Moments when they feel drawn toward thoughts they cannot fully explain. Moments when your name, your energy, or the memory of your presence seems to appear without invitation. At first, they tried to dismiss it. Logic searched for explanations. Routine attempted to reclaim control. Distractions offered temporary escape. But truth has a persistence that cannot be silenced forever. The more they try to look away, the clearer everything becomes. And what they are beginning to understand is startling. The qualities they once overlooked are becoming impossible to ignore. The kindness hidden beneath your strength. The wisdom hidden beneath your humility. The determination hidden beneath your quiet moments. It is as though they are seeing you with new eyes. Eyes no longer clouded by assumptions. Eyes no longer distracted by surface appearances. Eyes finally capable of recognizing what was there all along. But destiny is not revealing this without purpose. There is a reason the timing matters. There is a reason these realizations are happening now instead of months ago. Or years ago. Because certain truths require preparation. A seed cannot bloom before its season. A sunrise cannot arrive before the night has completed its work. And some revelations can only emerge when both hearts have grown enough to understand them. You have changed. More than you realize. The person you were before is not the person listening right now. Life has shaped you. Refined you. Strengthened parts of you that once felt uncertain. And while that transformation was taking place, another transformation was unfolding elsewhere. A transformation you could not see. A transformation taking place within the very person now uncovering these hidden truths. This is why so many pieces suddenly feel as though they are moving into place. This is why certain delays now seem less confusing. This is why events that once appeared random begin to reveal deeper meaning. The story was never standing still. It was preparing. Quietly. Patiently. Carefully. And now the next chapter is approaching. Closer than it appears. Closer than it feels. Yet before the path fully opens, there remains one final realization they must face. A realization that could change everything they thought they understood about this connection. Because there is one truth still hidden. One truth they are only beginning to sense. And when it finally reaches the surface, it will explain why they have never been able to completely forget you. There is a difference between remembering someone and being unable to forget them. Most people pass through our lives like footprints in sand. Present for a moment. Gone with the next wave. But every so often, a soul leaves an imprint far deeper. An imprint that time cannot erase. An imprint that quietly remains, even when years, distance, or circumstance attempt to pull it away. And this is the realization that is beginning to stir within them now. They are starting to understand that your presence was never ordinary. Not because you demanded attention. Not because you sought recognition. But because something about you reached a place within them that few others ever touched. For a long time, they misunderstood that feeling. They labeled it coincidence. Timing. Curiosity. A passing thought. Yet no matter what explanation they chose, the feeling remained. Quietly. Patiently. Waiting. Because some truths do not disappear when ignored. They simply wait until the heart is ready to receive them. And readiness is drawing near. Can you feel it? Not as certainty. Not as proof. But as a subtle shift in the atmosphere of your journey. The sense that something unseen is moving. The feeling that a chapter is nearing its conclusion while another prepares to begin. There is a reason for that. The universe often whispers before it speaks. It nudges before it opens a door. It creates signs before it reveals the full picture. And right now, those whispers are growing louder. The person uncovering these truths is experiencing moments they cannot fully explain. Moments when a memory returns with unexpected clarity. Moments when your words suddenly carry new meaning. Moments when they realize they overlooked something precious while searching for something else. At first, this realization feels gentle. Almost comforting. But then comes the deeper understanding. The understanding that changes everything. Because they are beginning to see that your greatest gift was never what you gave them. It was what you awakened within them. Think about that for a moment. The most powerful connections do not simply make us feel seen. They help us see ourselves. And without fully realizing it, that is exactly what happened. Your courage challenged their fears. Your honesty exposed their doubts. Your resilience illuminated their potential. Your journey became a reminder of what is possible when someone refuses to surrender to life's uncertainties. That realization is impossible to ignore. And the more they reflect upon it, the more another question emerges. A question that has been waiting beneath the surface all along. What if this connection was never accidental? What if every encounter carried meaning? What if every delay served a purpose? What if every apparent detour was actually guiding both of you toward a destination neither could yet understand? These questions are growing stronger. Day by day. Moment by moment. And with every answer they uncover, the distance between uncertainty and clarity becomes smaller. Yet something remarkable is happening on your side of the story as well. While they are discovering hidden truths about you, you are being prepared for hidden truths about yourself. Because there are qualities within you that have remained underestimated. Not by others. By you. You have measured yourself by unfinished goals. By missed opportunities. By chapters that did not unfold the way you expected. But heaven has been measuring something entirely different. Your growth. Your perseverance. Your willingness to keep believing when outcomes remained unseen. And those qualities matter far more than you realize. Far more than you have allowed yourself to believe. The reason this revelation is approaching now is because both journeys are beginning to intersect. Not perfectly. Not instantly. But intentionally. Like two rivers gradually moving toward the same ocean. The process has already begun. The signs are already present. And soon, what once seemed confusing will begin making sense in ways you never imagined. But before that happens, before the next door opens, before the next piece of destiny reveals itself, there is one final barrier standing in the way. A barrier neither of you created intentionally. A barrier built from old fears, unanswered questions, and stories that were never fully healed. And the moment that barrier begins to fall, everything changes. Because beyond it waits a revelation neither heart is prepared to forget. Not every barrier is visible. Some are built from silence. Some are built from hesitation. And some are built from moments that seemed insignificant when they happened, but carried consequences far beyond what anyone could see. The barrier standing before this connection is not made of distance. It is not made of circumstance. It is not even made of time. It is made of perception. For so long, both of you have been looking at pieces of the story. Pieces can inspire hope. Pieces can create confusion. But pieces alone can never reveal the entire picture. And now, the picture is beginning to emerge. Slowly. Carefully. As though heaven itself is turning one page at a time. The person uncovering these truths has reached a crossroads. A place where old assumptions can no longer survive. A place where familiar explanations suddenly feel incomplete. A place where the heart begins asking questions the mind cannot easily answer. This is often the moment people fear. Because clarity changes things. Once you see truth, you cannot return to the comfort of misunderstanding. Once you recognize what matters, distractions lose their power. Once you understand the value of something, you begin to realize what life would feel like without it. And that realization is growing stronger within them. Far stronger than they expected. There are moments now when they find themselves comparing. Not intentionally. Not consciously. It simply happens. Conversations feel different. Connections feel different. Experiences that once seemed fulfilling now feel strangely incomplete. Why? Because recognition changes perspective. And perspective changes everything. The more they discover about your journey, the more they begin to appreciate what could never be seen at first glance. The strength hidden beneath your calmness. The wisdom hidden beneath your patience. The depth hidden beneath your simplicity. What once appeared ordinary now feels extraordinary. What once seemed familiar now feels rare. And rarity carries weight. Especially in a world where authenticity is becoming harder to find. Yet this chapter is not only about what they are discovering. It is also about what you are releasing. Because every new beginning requires space. And space is created when old burdens are finally set down. Perhaps there are disappointments you still carry. Perhaps there are unanswered questions that linger in quiet moments. Perhaps there are memories that occasionally whisper, reminding you of roads that never led where you hoped. But hear this clearly. Those chapters were never meant to define your future. They were meant to prepare it. Every lesson. Every setback. Every delay. Every unexpected turn. They have all been shaping a version of you capable of receiving what once would have arrived too soon. There is wisdom in timing. A wisdom that often remains invisible until the very moment everything begins to make sense. And that moment is drawing closer. Closer than it has ever been before. Even now, unseen pieces are moving. Conversations not yet spoken. Decisions not yet made. Realizations not yet fully understood. They are all gathering momentum. Like clouds preparing for rain. Like dawn preparing for light. Like a door quietly unlocking before anyone reaches for the handle. Can you feel the anticipation building? Not because something is ending. But because something is awakening. An understanding. A recognition. A truth that has been approaching both of you from different directions. And here is what makes this moment so powerful. The revelation ahead is not about changing who you are. It is about revealing who you have been all along. The qualities you questioned. The gifts you underestimated. The light you sometimes doubted. All of it is becoming visible in ways neither of you expected. Yet one final shift must occur. One final piece must click into place. Because the person connected to this story is standing on the edge of a realization so profound that it will reshape everything they thought they knew. A realization that arrives not through logic. Not through chance. But through undeniable recognition. And when that realization finally settles into their heart. When the last fragment of uncertainty dissolves. When the hidden truth becomes impossible to ignore. A message, a sign, or an unexpected moment will begin a chain of events that neither of you saw coming. The first spark is already forming. The first movement has already begun. And what happens next may reveal why every step of this journey was leading to the same destination all along. But the moment that changes everything is still one breath away. There comes a moment in every destined story when waiting transforms into movement. Not because the clock suddenly changes. Not because the world announces it. But because something inside the heart reaches a point of certainty that can no longer be ignored. That moment is approaching now. The spark that has been forming beneath the surface is no longer content to remain hidden. The questions that once lingered in shadows are beginning to step into the light. And the person connected to this journey is finding it harder than ever to silence what they feel. For a long time, they searched for clarity in all the usual places. In logic. In timing. In circumstances. In reasons that could be explained and neatly understood. Yet every road they followed seemed to lead back to the same place. Back to the same realization. Back to the same unmistakable presence. Back to you. Not because fate forced it. Not because destiny removed their freedom to choose. But because truth has a gravity of its own. When something is real, it continues calling the heart until it is acknowledged. And that call is becoming impossible to ignore. Have you ever noticed how certain answers arrive only after you stop chasing them? How certain doors open only after you stop pounding against them? How certain blessings appear only after you have grown enough to receive them? That is the season this story is entering. A season where understanding replaces confusion. A season where hidden meaning rises to the surface. A season where what once seemed disconnected begins revealing its purpose. The person uncovering these truths is beginning to see the entire path differently. They are looking back and noticing moments they once overlooked. Tiny details. Unexpected encounters. Conversations that seemed ordinary. Choices that appeared random. And now those moments shine with new significance. Like stars becoming visible once the sun has set. Like pieces of a puzzle finally finding their place. The story was speaking all along. Neither of you could hear it yet. But now. The message is becoming clear. Every chapter carried a lesson. Every delay carried preparation. Every challenge carried transformation. Nothing was wasted. Not a single tear. Not a single disappointment. Not a single moment spent wondering whether your journey was leading anywhere at all. Because while you were becoming who you needed to be, they were becoming who they needed to be as well. This is why the timing matters. This is why the waiting mattered. This is why the path could not be rushed. Two journeys were unfolding at once. Two stories were growing toward the same horizon. And now those horizons are beginning to meet. Yet before the revelation fully arrives, there is one final truth heaven wants you to understand. The hidden truth they discovered about you was never merely your strength. It was never merely your resilience. It was never merely your kindness or wisdom or patience. Those qualities opened the door. But they are not the deepest revelation. The deepest revelation is this. You remained yourself. Through pressure. Through uncertainty. Through seasons that tempted you to become bitter. Through moments that tempted you to abandon hope. You remained aligned with the person your soul was meant to become. Not perfectly. Not flawlessly. But faithfully. And that authenticity has become impossible to overlook. Because authenticity carries a light unlike anything else. It does not need to compete. It does not need to convince. It simply shines. And eventually, those who are meant to see it cannot look away. That is what is happening now. The hidden truth has become visible. The veil has begun to lift. The recognition has begun to settle. And with recognition comes choice. A choice that is drawing closer with every passing day. A choice that will determine how the next chapter unfolds. But here is the mystery. The story is not reaching its climax because someone finally discovered your value. Your value was always there. The story is reaching its climax because you are finally approaching the moment where you may begin to see yourself through the same eyes that now see you clearly. And when that happens, when inner recognition meets outer recognition, when self-belief meets confirmation, when understanding meets opportunity, a door opens that has been waiting for this exact moment. A door prepared long before either of you realized it existed. The handle is already turning. The lock is already releasing. The next chapter is already beginning. And beyond that door waits a revelation so unexpected, so beautifully timed, and so deeply personal that it will illuminate the true purpose behind every twist and turn of this journey. What happens when that door finally opens? Is a story for the next chapter.